Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships, where today I'm going to be doing two dev blogs. Wargaming had a pretty big Twitch stream. World of Warships had a pretty big Twitch stream the other day with some big changes coming into the game. One was around changes to aircraft carriers and AA mechanics, which has been a very long time in the process since they, I think, announced it was like February of like last year that they were gonna look at implementing changes, and there's been a lot of internal testing apparently, and this, that, and the other. And then there's a teaser for update 14.3. So I'll try to be as time conscious as possible. So let's just crack right into it and see what the heck is going on. Honestly, I was disappointed with several things that I saw, and let me just say up front, after doing the video, was the last Friday, about how I'm losing interest in World of Warships, it feels really great to just like have that off my chest and off my mind, because where the game's going, I'm like, what the heck? Or potentially looking to go to. So, changes to aircraft carriers and AA mechanics closed test. Big changes are on the horizon for aircraft carriers. What year, I wonder, because it's 2024 and now it's 2025. Will we ever see these changes? Earlier, we presented a concept aimed at addressing the problems highlighted by community over the past years. The first play test we ran was meant to check the viability of that concept, and after going through the feedback and data we gathered over a year, we were satisfied with the results. Nevertheless, there is still a lot of work to do regarding balance and UI improvements. Now we're looking to polish the new design as we aim to implement it on the live server this year. Okay, so I'd like to make it happen in 2025. In the recent Waterline publication, we shared our plans to have a public test of the new AA and carrier mechanics in February. Since then, we had several internal tests, and based on the results of these, we decided to postpone the public test on a separate test server till the end of March, beginning of April, to ensure all technical issues are patched up. Okay. While preparing for this, we plan to hold a separate closed test. The details of this we would now like to share with you. So they already did it? Let's have a quick recap. The new design aims to reduce spotting overall. Great, because basically spotting in the game is broke in my opinion. It's very difficult to be strategic in making decisions as a surface ship. You know, if you're trying to flank in a battleship, a cruiser, or a destroyer, particularly destroyers, and you just get accidentally spotted, like, it's very frustrating. Spotting kills strategy in the game in my opinion. And remove unintentional spotting by aircraft, where I just talked about, as well as making AA more impactful while ensuring aircraft carriers remain viable in battles. So, the question that becomes of this with wargaming, after playing the game for the last 5 years, is what hoops are they going to jump through to make this possible? How many bugs will they introduce into the game? After the first public test, we outlined additional improvements we wanted to achieve, make the design more intuitive. I'm going to probably talk about this between this. I don't know if I have it in this development blog, or maybe it's maybe in the other one. But I feel like this is the opposite. I mean, the new design, yes, more intuitive. They found that the last one was too complicated with some of the changes that they were looking at. So they realized, hey, we're making it too complex. Let's make it more intuitive. So, like, that is accurate in that sense. But I wonder overall, is it still intuitive or not? Better informing ships when planes pose a threat to them and when they don't. Improving interactions between ships and aircraft and making them easier to understand. The last iteration of the testing was complete opposite of these two things. It was really bad. Making changes to some of the older systems tied to aircraft for a better quality of life and to provide room for future improvements. The unending CV rework, is that what we're calling it? Several important changes have been implemented since the last test. We will briefly mention them here and talk further in depth later on. Shell explosions, Flak, have been completely removed. Huh? Shell explosions, Flak, have been completely removed. Why? Why? Is it like, huh? Alright, okay. The Recon Mode won't be restored while flying. It will be separate for each squadron and can only be restored while your squadron is not in active use. Manual AA, previously priority sector, will combine old and new designs, covering 360 degrees and buffing AA damage. Okay, here's my thing on this one. Why not just buff AA in general? Why even have players push a button? Like, simplify it. Make it more intuitive. Like, oh, your overall AA is just buffed now. I mean, yes, they're trying to reward a player for making a decision and pushing a button, but like, just in my opinion, you're make it more intuitive, make it more easier for players. If you're gonna have priority sector cover the entire 360 degrees of your ship, then just why have priority sector or manual AA? Just have this buff AA overall. Defensive AA fire won't prevent planes from spotting anymore and instead work as it currently does in a live server. Yeah, this was really frustrating for CV players. Ships with defensive AA fire will get a new consumable in the same slot. The consumable directly decreases incoming damage from aircraft and all types of torpedoes. This one I am very annoyed with, and I'll talk about it. It's called Preparation for Strike, and if I saw it right, I think how it worked, I'll pull it up. I have it on my Discord server. Incoming damage from torpedoes, negative 30%. Incoming damage from bombs, negative 30%. Incoming damage from rockets, negative 30%. Damage taken from aircraft torpedoes, negative 30%. Consumable action time, 30 seconds. Cooldown time, 120 seconds. Unlimited number of charges. And the example they gave on the Twitch stream was like a Petropavlovsk, where you get defensive AA or hydro, and you have to choose between one or the other. So then, like, normally if you're playing in randoms in Petro, right, you're taking hydroacoustic search. Maybe if you're playing ops, you take the defensive AA. But now you have to choose, do I give up my hydro to activate that funny button? And I'm going to talk more about that later. Patrol fighters, combat air patrol and fighters can't spot ships. I think that's great. Various UI improvements have been implemented to make the mechanics easier to navigate both for surface ships and carrier players. Hybrid ships will have their aircraft behave in the same way as those originating from aircraft carriers. Because I think originally were hybrid ships, they're going to be separate, and now they're going to make it all the same. If I remember that part right, I could be wrong. You guys can correct me in the comments. Alright, continuing on. Changes to aircraft carriers. The overall concept hasn't changed. Aircraft will operate in 3 distinct modes: travel, attack, and recon. I think right now, like, you're technically 2 modes. The attack, run, and then just flying around, right? Each with its own goals and rules. Travel mode. When in travel mode, your planes operate at high altitudes. So probably maybe something like what the Richthofen, like German planes that fly at higher altitude. You won't be able to spot enemy ships directly, relying instead on spotting from your teammates. That's like the shoes on the other foot. To identify targets, but you can still detect enemy aircraft. At the same time, your planes can be spotted by other planes and surface ships. So like here, there's on the mini map, I think there's oh, it's like that's a teammate there. So he's just flying here. Planes move faster in this mode, allowing you to reach targets quickly and enjoy a more dynamic gameplay experience. You can additionally adjust the speed using the W and S keys. Planes are safe from AA fire while in travel mode, though they can be damaged by fighters and interceptors. So it's like you get to see planes, but your AA won't shoot them because they're in travel mode. But they can't. But the planes can't see you. It's dumb. Non-player controlled aircraft such as fighters do not use this mode and remain vulnerable to AA fire at all times. But again, with these new changes, fighters won't spot you. Pressing F at high altitude will return the entire squadron to the carrier. Based on player feedback, we're bringing back the speedometer for better control the aircraft, as well as enhancing the aiming UI to make it feel more like traditional flight simulators. Since the engine boost bar was removed and your ability to increase your speed is no longer limited during travel, a new consumable that increases the maximum speed of aircraft in all 3 modes will be introduced. To better differentiate between modes, we added special UI and visual elements that will provide additional information about the current altitude of your planes. So I'm trying to see. So there's A speedometer? See, there's fighters. Recon Mode. Recon Mode is a new tool specifically meant for spotting. When activated, a flight of planes will detach from your squadron and briefly descend from travel mode to spot opponents like planes currently can. However, your planes will become vulnerable to AA. So kind of like here. You can see he's coming out of travel mode, and then as soon as he comes out, the enemy aircraft carrier the AA starts opening up looks like pretty quickly. Yeah, AA fire as soon as he drops down. So I hope it doesn't lag much. Yeah, about like a second or something. So you can activate it by pressing Q button while in travel mode. Each squadron has a recon mode timer that depletes while in use. If the attacking flight in recon mode is destroyed, you switch back to the remaining squadron. If there are any planes left and the timer stops, after that, you can start another recon run if there's still recon time left. You can enter recon mode at any point as long as it has more than 0 seconds. However, if you run out of time, the planes will automatically turn to travel mode unless you started an attack. So then you have to come out of travel mode into attack mode because recon mode is no longer available. Not confusing at all, guys. I'm sure CV players are happy. In this iteration, we've made some UI improvements to help you understand the mechanics. The timer is displayed near the reticle. Okay. Oh, yeah. I exited out too soon. So you see here. So it's got 20 seconds. He's playing midway. Travel mode, recon mode. So he's here. He's in travel mode. He presses Q, drops into recon mode. And I'm assuming you go into attack mode if you just left mouse key. The timer is displayed near the reticle. It will turn red as the time is about to run out. When we replenish the timer, is returned to the planes to the carrier. This encourages carriers to retake their squadrons in battle. Recon mode can't be immediately activated or deactivated. There's a delay to avoid potential dolphining. So dolphining was like people who they would drop out of travel mode, go into recon mode, and then immediately go back into travel mode. Submarines were doing this in World of Warships. They would like come near the surface and then immediately dive and get away with. I mean, they still do that to an extent, but they kind of balanced submarines, quote unquote, a little better to help with that. But there was a big concern about planes doing that, hopping between recon mode and travel mode. So I can see there's a delay at least. If you see a suitable target, you can start the attack from recon mode. However, it will still require some preparation time, naturally. Manual control of carrier guns. The ability to manually control carrier guns is here to stay, with some balancing adjustments to remind you how it works. While not piloting aircraft, you can take control of your carrier's secondary guns. For carriers with mixed secondary armaments, you control only the largest caliber guns. Smaller calibers remain automatic. If a carrier doesn't have any secondary guns, it will operate as it did before. When controlling a carrier, you must manually use damage control party consumable. Once you launch your planes, the consumable will become automatic again. As part of this change, the setting of fires on aircraft carriers were adjusted to be closer to those on battleships. Now they will last longer and do more damage in total, but in turn, carriers cannot be relit on fire constantly, which led to higher damage compared to a battleship fire before. Duration of fire, 45 seconds. Damage per second, 0.3% of maximum HP. Fire resistance, same as on battleships of the appropriate tier. But, okay, what do they mean? They do more damage in total, but they cannot be relit on fire constantly. So is there some gimmick baked in that after the fire ticks out, like it can just immediately set them on fire again? So if you look here, you can see one key. So you'd press the one key while you're controlling your aircraft carrier and then get access to your secondary battery guns. I don't know. I don't know if you can zoom in, you know, like shift key in or not. But that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is midway, so I'm assuming they're 127s. Or it's maybe it's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it's 9. Can't count. I mean, I don't know. I don't play carriers, so maybe my opinion is a bit mixed here. I mean, on one hand, I can see it's annoying or it's good for CV players if you have a destroyer rushing you. But at the same time, it's like if a destroyer's caught you out on like A4, right? You kind of want to be rewarded, like, hey, I caught you. You know, you can try to track me with planes, you can maneuver, you can select me with your secondary battery, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that one shakes down. Changes to surface ships. To give surface ships more ways to fight against aircraft, we've revamped existing AA tools and introduced new ones. Manual AA defense reinforcement. So manual AA defense reinforcement can be activated when pressing O. This is the same thing when you activate right now the priority sector. And it takes effect within your AA range. It instantly deals a percentage of damage proportional to attacking flight's health. Additionally, it temporarily buffs all continuous AA damage. The effect will gradually get weaker over its duration. That's weird. You know, in one sense, it's like, you know, one of the arguments I think they made around the manual secondary armament was like, as your secondary battery is firing, and you build into the full AA, like on a battleship, as let's say as an example, and you get the permanent effect of negative 10% dispersion, and then over the course of 45 seconds, you build the additional negative 50%, but your guns are becoming more accurate as you sustain fire. But like here, as you hone in on an aircraft carrier, like shooting it, like your AA gets weaker. But I guess, you know, in one sense, like you'd rather your AA be stronger in the front half than the back half. So, I don't know. It's just like, I understand it from a game perspective, but then like the historical accurateness of the game is really going into orbit anymore these days. It's not on Earth anymore. In other words, manual ACE should be used reactively to deal burst damage to enemy planes. After reviewing your feedback, we decided to combine the best of the old and new designs of this mechanic. When activated, it will cover the whole AA area around the ship and buff AA damage. So here you can see this person they've given the example on the carrier. Manual AA defense and reinforcement activated, although the planes aren't in his AA range yet, unless he's using it for the Dutch airstrike. I'm guessing that's what that is, unless it's a depth charge. But you can see here it's activated the whole area of the ship. I don't know. I feel like just bake it in. You know, whenever a CV or planes fly into your AA range, just like instant prioritize AA sector. Don't make players have to do it. But I guess if you don't want to use your priority AA sector on like fighters or depth charge planes or something like that, you want to save it for the CV who's about to come back and strike you again, then that makes sense as well. But, you know, my argument was just like have AA stronger at all times, but then that probably means the instant damage it does proportional to the attacking flight's health is like, I don't know, maybe you have to take that out. I don't know. Automatic AA defense reinforcement. Automatic AA is a new defensive tool meant to discourage aircraft from repeatedly targeting the same ship. While your AA is shooting enemy aircraft, a special progress bar will passively charge up. Mechanically, it's pretty similar to combat instructions, although in this iteration, the progress won't decay, even if you don't damage enemy planes for a while. Once your progress reaches 100%, a passive bonus to your AA damage automatically activates. After activation, automatic AA will start losing its charge if it's not attacking planes because there are no nearby planes, or if AA is disabled or broken. It will happen slower than if it's actively damaging them. There's no limit on how many times automatic AA can be activated in a battle, though you won't get any charge while the automatic AA is already active. Aircraft can see automatic AA if it enters this radius. It will have different visual effects. So let's see what this looks like. Alright, so here's the progress bar, and it looks like it's a circle. And he's got 25% more progress to fill. Okay, it's the same battle. It's a Dutch ship dropping airstrikes. So then this is like kind of like the opposite. So automatic AA defense kind of does what manual doesn't. That like your continuous damage decreases over to duration. Where like here, the more your AA fires, and eventually once you are able to, your automatic AA defense reinforcement activates, then it's doing more damage. So if it's really weird, it's like they're opposites. So you have to you have to be mindful of how automatic AA defense works and how manual AA defense works. Defensive AA fire. Defensive AA fire will remain unchanged from the way it works on the live server. We've chosen to preserve the original mechanic as it provides a familiar experience of boosting AA capabilities. But they're taking out Flak? So they're only relying on continuous AA damage now. And defensive AA fire... Oh crap, I don't remember. I think it gave you more... an addition, more Flak. Okay, here's the crap one we're talking about. Preparation for a strike. A new consumable will be introduced for testing. Preparation for a strike that directly reduces incoming damage from rockets, bombs, and all types of torpedoes. Yes, even non-aerial, so like Shimakaze torps. We want to provide more versatile tools for you when dealing with carriers, so we are trying a different approach for this test. The consumable will be available only for the ships that have access to defensive AA fire in the same slot, but we might consider giving it to other ships in the future. Preparation for a strike is a working name. Yeah, I really doubt they keep that name. I bet they change it. I mean, it could be that it stays that, because it's pretty like, this is what the skill is, or consumable is, but yeah. Alright, so let's get into this crap. And I'm going to give you my bigger thoughts on this. So preparation for a strike, as I kind of referenced earlier in the video, when I pulled it up on the Discord server. So it's incoming damage from torpedoes, negative 30%. Incoming damage from bombs, negative 30%. Incoming damage from rockets, negative 30%. Incoming damage taken from aircraft torpedoes, negative 30%. Consumable action time, 30 seconds. Cooldown time, 120 seconds. So it's like 2-minute cooldown time. Unlimited number of charges. So then this skill, or this consumable, sorry, if you want to take it, let's say you take it on a cruiser that has defensive AA. Oh, sorry, that just, you have AA on it. If you take the 4-point AA skill, then you can get the cooldown time down. What was it called? Was it like 80%? Negative 50% ship consumable preparation reload time. So then you could potentially cut it in half. An unlimited number of charges. Okay, this is what I'm saying. One of my big takeaways here. So in 2024, I would have called World of Warships World of Gimmicks. In 2025, I'm going to start calling World of Warships World of Magic Pixie Dust. Okay, you follow me? So we went from gimmicks in terms of the F keys of like the super ships, this, that, and the other. And now we're going into Magic Pixie Dust land, where I, as a player, I push this magical button, this consumable, that actively, like, you've dropped your torpedoes at me, the Shimakaze torpedoes coming in, you've lined up a perfect broadside salvo on me in your Vermont, whatever, and then I'm on my petrol, and I just magically activate my preparation for a strike, and all of a sudden, you're going to take negative 30% less damage. I'm sorry, not Vermont. Torpedoes, bombs, rockets, or aircraft torpedoes. So I meant to say like a Shimakaze, Um, Maybe I'm wondering with the bombs, like the Dutch airstrike. I mean, essentially this skill is really aimed at CV planes, right? But then also like, you know, it's really annoying to me to think like, you know, let's say you're a destroyer player and you took a lot of time to like line up this like broadside salvo on a battleship player or whatever ship that has defensive AA, and they take this skill, and then they see your torpedoes coming in, and assuming they're paying attention, and then they're like, boop, activate my button. So in addition to the torpedo protection belt, like let's say that a battleship has, or I mean, cruisers have them a little bit. I don't remember what it is for Petro. Then I'm going to take an additional negative 30% less damage. Can I see? Torpedo belt. So yeah, Petro has 19% torpedo protection, right? I kind of wonder. No, I have to think about what other ships. I'm trying to think what other battleships. Vermont has defensive A, doesn't it? Or am I wrong? Yeah. Okay, so let's say you take. Okay, you have 40.3% torpedo protection, and then let's say you took vigilance. I'm just saying as a random example, not that I think that you should. And you take, then you go plus 7% torpedo protection damage reduction, torpedo acquisition range by air. So then now I've got 47% is what it, well, is that how they do the multiplier? It's not changing. Well, that's the actual, how the hull works, but you add 7% there, and then you come over here and you activate your consumable, and you're going to take negative 30% less damage as well. So I don't know. To me, it's just like, why? Like, I feel like this is what this is doing is it's just making the game more idiot-proof. So if you make dumb plays and stuff, don't worry. Activate your magic pixie dust, your magic force field, and you'll take 30% less damage. What I think, actually, this is a big point I wanted to make. Let me pull it up because I forgot the name. So you know how they were looking at classified documents, which I think you would... did it give an example of that? Let me go to here. Classified. Just try to skip through it and find it faster. Classified documents. Do they give an example here? Operations with flagships. What I was wanting to see is it in random battles. You're not showing it. So I think how it worked, like if you could use it, in one example I saw, it was like, let's say you chose, I think it was a GK, and you would get negative 15% less damage from the secondaries and negative 15% less than the main battery. It sort of feels like they took classified documents and then they baked it into a consumable, but different. And it could have been they've been thinking about this for a long time, but as soon as they're like, oh, like based on your feedback, we've went ahead and we've moved classified documents from the second round of the public test of update 14.2, it almost feels like they went and decided, hey, let's bake it into a consumable. But maybe they were already planning to do this to begin with, right? But imagine if it was like you had preparation for a strike and you had classified documents. You know how annoying that would be? Like, it's not... It's making the game more complicated. So, to give Wargaming credit, that they're not looking to put classified documents in random battles for update 14.2 when this was back in 21st of February. So, I don't know, guys. We went from World of Gimmicks to World of Magic Pixie Dust. Other changes, secondary aviation changes. To make things more consistent and to address a very popular feedback point among our community, Patrol fighters, combat air patrol, and fighters won't be able to spot ships. This will make the spotting system even simpler, and more importantly, remove the spotting tool that was initially designed as an instrument against enemy aircraft. Due to these changes, Napoli B will get spotting aircraft instead of a fighter to still have an opportunity to detect opponents while using her exhaust smoke generator. So, was it Napoli only got fighters right now, right? Yeah. So they're gonna give you spotter. So then you're gonna get more main battery gun range on spotter on Napoli now? UI improvements. To support these changes, some UI improvements are required. Now it'll be much easier to see if planes pose any threat to you or not. For example, if you're controlling a battleship, a squadron in travel mode won't be considered a threat until it starts sitting. At the moment, this applies only to controllable aircraft. If the aircraft is at significant distance, regardless of mode, its indicator color will be orange. If the aircraft is close to you, regardless of mode, the indicator will turn red. When the aircraft starts descending into recon attack mode, the indicator will have a dedicated border effect? To me, it would have made more sense to like yellow at significant distance, orange close to you regardless of mode, red when it's gone into recon attack mode. Let's see what this border effect is. I don't know what they're talking about. Changes to concealment. Lastly, we'd like to introduce some balance changes to the concealment system that should benefit their overall gameplay. Detectability by air and by periscope changed for all ships. Now it can't be more than 10 kilometers. Detectability penalty from being on fire has been unified for both surface and air detectability. Fires now universally increase the ship's detectability range by 2 kilometers. Detectability range of Japanese torpedo bombers increased from 7.5 to 10. Yeah, you would get screwed by Hakuryu. Detectability range of depth charge airstrike fighters, patrol fighters, and interceptors increased 7.5 to 10. Detectability range by air won't increase when firing main battery guns. Huh. Well, there you go. I think because this video is already at 32 minutes, we won't get into the other development blog, because then I would be talking about a 45, maybe an hour long video. There's some things here I like, and other things that I don't like. I still think they're struggling with the making the design more intuitive. I mean, this newer design compared to the last design, I think it is more intuitive to an extent, but overall the whole concept is still like dumb, because they've moved away from some of the old design mechanics, and now they're moving into the new design mechanics, but now they're adding more things in the new design mechanics that weren't there in the old design mechanics. So I feel like they've kind of just traded what they're doing. I mean, now to be like, I mean, the learning curve of like Flak no longer being a thing, which I still don't get. Like, are they serious about this? Like, no Flak. AA. Where is AA? Here. Flak. Flak damage. Because that was a big part of your damage. Especially for like, I mean, it's not gonna, they're not gonna be the king anymore. All right, let me take Salem, because I wanted to see what the defensive A looked like. So defensive A, your shell explosion damage would be by plus 300% whenever you'd activate defensive AA fire, right? And then here you see Flak 16,800, and then you activate defensive AA, your Flak damage went up 6,720. And then medium range 416 to 624. So they just, it's so convoluted. Like, did they, it's like, did they nerf AA or did they buff AA? I mean, for ships that don't have defensive AA, ships that do have defensive AA, yeah, you just got nerfed. Like, so now the only thing you're going to get out of your defensive AA is a plus 50% continuous damage. So the constant damage here, you see? So we go 100 to 157. And then there's no constant damage on the medium range. I don't know. I just have to feel like it shakes out. I feel like, I don't know. I have played CVs in the past. I mean, I still play them in ops to grind there, because I won't put that on human players unless I need to improve my CV win rate and randoms. I still feel like CV players are probably going to be upset by this. I mean, you can tell me if you guys think it's a win, or if it's a W or it's an L. Let me know in the comments for those of you who play CVs more frequently and regularly. It does, in one sense, it doesn't seem as complicated as the first iteration of the AA, but I feel like a lot of this is just, they're having to jump through a lot of hoops just to try to make carriers work in their game. And they've needed to address spotting for such a long time. And I still think this is absolutely stupid. I really hope they don't put this in the game. Preparation for a strike. Pretty much how development blogs work. Like, I mean, this is, you know, this is all preliminary. Nothing's finalized here. I mean, we can complain about dev blogs all you want, but Wargaming's like, well, it's not finalized yet. We're just testing it. But the reality is about 95% of the stuff they put in development blogs goes into the game. So chances here not looking good. But you have to make a decision, right? Do you give up Hydro to take preparation for a strike? Because this ends up not working out really well if you don't have CVs. Now, because you have Dutch airstrike, so you're getting a new Dutch cruiser line, and we're going to get a new Dutch battleship line too, I think. That's a different one. You have hybrids, you have Dutch airstrikes, you have CVs. So even without CVs, you still have hybrids, you still have Dutch ships to be concerned about, right? So if I drop you with my Prins van Oranje, right, and those bombs do massive damage. Let's see if they call them bombs. Because these bombs hit hard. Airstrike. Bombs. Hit for 8,500. Like, that's pretty freaking hard. Like, it's definitely harder than the Golden Lion. But, I mean, of course, they don't reload as frequently, but they hit freaking hard. Then, yeah. But, I mean, Hydro, it's like you're trying to avoid torps, but... And Hydro can last a lot longer than 30 seconds, right? But then this is unlimited number of charges. So, like, if you took Petro... I think there's something that works against us here. And if you take the legendary mod, then you lose a consumable, right? So then you end up only having 2. But then if you take, just for example, you still take Superintendent, then you get 3. And Superintendent's pretty mandatory, right? But you only have 3 Hydros. So then you're like, on Petro, does it actually make more sense to take preparation for a strike if you're taking the legendary? I mean, otherwise, if you're not taking the legendary, right, then you've got you'll have 4 hydros, 4 radars, 4 heals. So that's kind of why if you take this, you need to have Kuznetsov as your commander to help. I don't know. I think I'm bringing the video to a close now. So let me know what you guys think of this development blog in the comments. I would say at a glance, it seems better than the first testing they did last year. because I think that one was a little more convoluted than this one is, but it's like, why take Flak out of the game? I don't know what wargaming's smoking sometimes. Okay, we're gonna bring the video to close. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you liked this video, give a thumbs up. If you didn't, give a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you subscribe, thanks so much. I would appreciate it. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. And until next time, take care.